Hi, welcome to Big Time Paranormal. My name is Larry Gonzalez, and I am your host for this segment. I hope I'll be able to enlighten you. Right now, I'm sure there's somebody going, "Oh, it's that guy! Great, wonderful! I can go to the bathroom or make a sandwich and not miss anything important." Just don't make a sandwich while you're in the bathroom. That's nasty. Well, let's get on with some of the news. Some of it's pretty interesting as far as space. We have a lot of space news. And we have a few other stories to go with it, but we'll start off with this one. Scientists have discovered a baby planet actually being born. And they call it baby planet, but when it finally gets developed, it will be the size of Jupiter. But in the meantime, they're really excited about this because it's not very often you get to see a planet being born. They call it a protoplanet, and it's around the star HD 100546. So if you gave me the coordinates, I wouldn't know where to look in the sky, but I'm sure some of you might know the sky better than I do. Another thing is Mercury. They have finally mapped the entire surface, mile by mile, square inch by square inch. So they are very excited that one has also been mapped out. Now, as far as the next story is, we have it titled Year of the Comet. But there's been a lot of things going on lately as far as space. We've had asteroids. By the time you actually see this past weekend, an meteor has passed the Earth again. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We had what was going on in Russia, as I've spoken about before. All over the planet, they've seen different meteors all over the place. San Francisco, LA, Bakersfield, Florida, amongst other countries. So we have those things going on. Plus we have two comets that's going to be coming this year. One is about due right now. They've been seen it in Australia, and now it's coming up into our part of the planet where we're going to be able to see it at nighttime. The other one is going to be in November. So there's a lot of things going on. Usually it's very boring, space. But not this year. There's a lot of things to actually watch in the skies. So we have, like I said, Pan-STARRS. That's the one that's going to be coming. Now, Comet Ison, which is the one in November, this one's really big because they're talking about that it's going to get very close to the sun. And as it gets close to the sun, it's going to actually be very bright. They say it'll be as bright as a full moon. The only thing that they're concerned about is that will it survive getting that close to the sun? If it starts to break up, it'll look like a string of pearls. So they're going to keep an eye on that. That should be exciting. But they do feel that comet will actually survive. Now this next story has to do with a Russian satellite that hit a Chinese anti-satellite test. I'm surprised something like this hasn't happened before, where two bodies in orbit have collided. I know I've heard Richard C. Hoagland talk about that there's all kinds of debris in orbit. Astronauts have lost tools, pieces like nuts and bolts from different satellites are up there. And they were talking about also that even a paint chip can cause tremendous damage if it hits something very critical. So for this satellite to hit another satellite, obviously this is something I'm really surprised has not happened before, at least not publicly. This next story doesn't have anything to do with space, but it is actually cutting edge. One of the things that you'll find on Big Time Paranormal on Facebook that I have going on is not only do I do paranormal stuff, I also talk about cutting edge technology. And this is one of those things. A patient has 75% of his skull replaced with a 3D printed implant, which is quite amazing because I know these 3D imagers are becoming more and more popular. From what I understand, they're very hard to program. As time goes by, they're going to actually make them much more simpler for everyone. I know they're using them to reproduce car parts and stuff like that. Well, in this case, they used it to, they scanned the patient's skull over and over again to be able to get an accurate reading of his skull. So when they used the imager, it would actually fit perfect where the skull is actually missing. I saw it a picture on it on the internet. It was really fascinating to see. Now, of course, the scientists, they're not saying who the patient is. Obviously, they want to have some privacy. I'm sure as time goes by, it would probably be announced who this person is. But the scientists are actually waiting for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to give approval because they're actually looking forward to be able to use this new technology to replace bones and cartilage and stuff like that. I know that people that have lost their jawbone because of bone cancer, this will be a fantastic thing for them. This is just incredible technology that's coming out. So good for them, and I can hardly wait to see what happens with that. Now we're going to go back into a little bit more of a paranormal thing. Many of you have probably already heard that Russell Crowe down in Australia was able to, they actually recorded a UFO. The UFO, the camera was actually set up to record fruit bats in the gardens out there, and they were actually surprised that they caught this. The office that Russell Crowe has is in, forgive me if I mispronounce this, Woolloomooloo, Australia, which is right outside Australia, Sydney apparently. So they were able to record this, and he actually put it on the internet. Of course, there was a lot of people that criticized, saying all kinds of negative things. But I think it's important to remember that even though they're movie stars, TV stars, recording stars, they do see things too. You have Taylor Swift. There's all kinds of other ones. I've posted a list on Big Time Paranormal on some of the stars and what they've seen over the years. Of course, everybody remembers Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. So there's one right there. And I believe, I want to say Ronald Reagan did too, but I'm not sure on that. The next story is an interesting one. It's actually very mysterious. There's these mystery booms. This one is titled Mystery Booms Rattle Michigan. There are strange noises, booms that happen. And I know that, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, when I went, because I'm a truck driver and I drive south, they were talking about an hour after I passed Bakersfield, that a large boom had happened where people were actually coming out. And when they asked the military about it, they were giving, oh yeah, we were doing this and that, but the time didn't match when it actually happened. The booms have been happening all over the place, like Oklahoma, Massachusetts, here in California. Now what they are, don't know. Some people think it might be tied up with HARP. So this is going to be really interesting to find out, but what they are, I have no idea. Now this one is more of a humorous story. Actually the auction will be over by the time you guys see this. Genuine Bigfoot hair sample from Oregon hits eBay. Yeah. This one, the guy is from Mount Hood, Oregon. Now, I know the story has something to do with his mother-in-law supposedly saw something. She said something very large was seen. She called her son-in-law. He came over. He didn't know what he was going to see or whatever. After several nights, they heard all kinds of noise. Now, he went out the next morning on this one particular day. He didn't see any footprints or anything, but he found this hair. And when he took it down to have it analyzed, it was not something that they can classify. So now he's selling on eBay. Apparently, it's not the only sample. Apparently, he has 98 other samples to sell. So, keep an eye on eBay. You might find something that you might be able to tie up and put around your neck or make earrings. Or in my case, I'm just saying. Alright, so the next section we're going to be talking about is upcoming conventions. We added a few other ones because now that March is on its way through, we're going to go into April, June, and I haven't included something from Australia, but we'll get to that in a moment. And as time goes by, I'm going to try to find cons in other places because I know people like to set their vacation according to maybe one of these conventions. So the first one, again, we are talking about the Texas Bigfoot Conference. This is March 16th. The convention center, the Fort Worth Convention Center, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can stay at the Sheraton Fort Worth Hotel, which is just 2 blocks short. So if you want to attend that, again, March 16th. The next convention is the one again, the guys from the Sci-Fi Channel show Ghost Hunters. They're going to be at the Missouri State Penitentiary, March 23rd. So they'll be doing autographs between 6 and 7, and of course the people who are putting on the con is going to be doing they're going to go through with groups through the penitentiary, and I think that's going to be really fun. Asylum 49 is another one, but it's a multiple convention throughout the season. So you have to go to asylum49.com to see what their dates are and see if there's something that you would like to check out yourself. Now, a new one that I was, somebody actually sent it to me, so somebody's actually watching. It's being put on by Spirit Paranormal, and this is going to be in Reading, Pennsylvania, April 20th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. They are only having 20 people, so it's going to be very private, very intimate. This is going to be $60, but what you get with your $60 is they have food and dessert and water to drink, and then the event is it's a full 7 hours. So the investigation will go from 6 to 1. Another new one that we have is the Lower Catskills Paracon, May 3rd and 4th. Now this one's going to be good because it's at the Stanley Hotel in New York. Those of you that are big ghost hunters knows the story of Stanley Hotel. So that one's going to be interesting as well, May 3rd and 4th. That would be very exciting. The next one, if you're a fan of Chip Coffey or Ben Henson from Sci-Fi's Fact or Fiction, they're going to be doing one called Haunted Arizona in Bisbee, Arizona, June 7th through the 9th. So that's going to be really interesting as well. Another future one, Iowa Paracon. And this is going to be at the FAR, that's FARRAR, Schoolhouse in Maxwell, Iowa, July 19th and 20th. They're going to have the Booth Brothers and Johnny Hauser from Ghost Labs and Ghost Adventures, amongst other shows that he's appeared in. The next one is, now this one's going to be out of the country. And this is what I was talking about if you want to plan on doing something outside as a vacation. And I'm going to try to find other ones in England, because I know there's a lot of people that like to go to England. I've met people on Facebook that are in England, and it's just fascinating the history, the hauntings they have there. Well, this one is in Australia. It's called the Australian Paranormal and Spiritual Expo, September 21st, at the Parramatta, I hope that's pronounced right, Town Hall. So that's Parramatta, Sydney, New South Wales. Boy, that's a tongue twister. And you can go to Facebook and go to Australian Paranormal and Spiritual Expo and get more details on that. But that's September 21st, so it's going to give you enough time to be able to plan it all out. That's something that's really going to be fun as well. So check that out. And that's it for the conventions for this week. Okay, so the next segment, we have our field reporter that's actually going to be talking about what he has found out. Instead of talking about a book or whatever, he's actually going to do something. Hey, Larry, take it away. Hi, everybody. Usually at this part of the segment, we talk about books, we talk about movies, we talk about equipment or something like that. But being that it is a little bit different this time, because this morning when I was actually stopping for breakfast, I was talking to another truck driver. So I thought, why not relate this part of the story where I work at? That's my tractor right there. So this is the story that he told me. Every morning or every weekend when I'm finishing the week, I always stop and have breakfast. It's kind of a ritual for me. So this morning I stopped, and I was actually working on my computer, doing some paperwork and stuff like that for the show. And he happened to see that I was actually doing something. So we started talking, and I could tell that he wanted to talk about something once he found out what I actually do, besides trucking. So he finally started saying, you know, do you believe in ghosts? And I said, well, of course I do. And I told him what I do on the weekends and stuff like that, besides the show. And he was quiet. He goes, would you believe me if I told you I think my tractor is haunted? Of course, I'm sitting there going, really? Tell me more. So he started to tell me about his 95 Peterbilt that he had bought. He said he bought it down in Fontana, and he's been driving it for the past 6 months. It was used, as you can imagine, 95, and he said that he instantly fell in love with it. Well, he said probably about a month after he bought it that he started noticing some odd things. He'll be seeing in the sleeper, and he'll be talking to his family or whatever on the phone or doing paperwork. Well, at this particular time, he was doing paperwork, and he saw the stick shift just move on its own. Well, the tractor was shut off. It shouldn't have done that. As you can imagine, it just shouldn't have happened. So he thought that was odd. Another time he was asleep, and the radio came on, and it was playing country music. Well, he's not really into country music. He likes bolero and mariachi. You know, he's Hispanic. That's the kind of music he liked. But he thought maybe there was something wrong with the radio. Well, then as time went by, another time he was again sleeping in the sleeper when he felt like somebody got into the bed with him, and he instantly woke up, but there was no one there. So naturally, after a while, he took the truck back to where he bought it from, and he asked them, what's going on with this tractor? He said, I've experienced this, I've experienced that, blah, 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 blah. Who was the owner before? And they were quiet, and they finally said, well, the guy that owned it before actually had a massive heart attack in the tractor. He actually died in the tractor. Well, that kind of scared him, as you can imagine. And as time went by, he just got kind of used to the idea that he had a co-driver. It didn't bother him too much. In fact, it helped him. Because one time when he was on his way from Fontana to Las Vegas, he was actually falling asleep. And for a truck driver, when we start falling asleep, you start getting this tunnel vision where everything starts shrinking down to a single spot. And he swore he saw a hand reach over and pull the steering wheel over. Well, it snapped him out of it. And then he realized that he was actually drifting into the opposite lanes, going the other way. And that scared him. But he realized that the ghost that was in the truck saved his life. He doesn't mind it so much now. He says it's been probably about a month since he's seen anything or felt anything like that. But that was the story he had related to me. Now, this is not uncommon for truck drivers. Truck drivers tend to have stories like that. I've had my own stories, not in a tractor, driving where something was in it, but I have seen things on the road. And one day we'll talk about that. But for right now, I thought I would relate that story to you guys. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Thank you for that report, Larry. That guy's good, I swear. He should win an award. Well, anyway, so this week we want to make sure that we give our shout out. Our shout out goes to a really good team in California. They're known as CGC, California Ghost Chasers. They're in the Central Valley. They quietly do their work. They do a lot of good stuff. I know I've seen them on My Ghost Story. So they do really excellent work. So that's my shout out for this week. So remember, anything that you see here, you can look on Big Time Paranormal on Facebook. Look into this network every week, which is Worldwide Paranormal Network. We always have something interesting. We need your support. We need you to spread the word. This way, we can be big time paranormal. Anyway, with that being said, remember, today is your day, so go out and make it happen. See you later. Have a good one.